Sean, tell me a little about yourself. Tell me who you are and tell me a little bit about your CV.
I am Sean Murphy. I'm an artist who lives in Maine, in the United States. You can't tell by my voice. I've been drawing Batman, writing and drawing Batman for a few years now, but I've been in comics professionally for maybe 16 years, I'd say. Lately I've been stepping away from Batman and doing my own book again called Plot Holes, which is, I have a campaign running for that right now on Indiegogo. I've been to Ireland, I think 5 times now. I'm often mistaken for one of your own, which I'm happy to take.
Well, you got the name for sure.
Yeah. I think for a while when people met me, they thought I would have an Irish accent. And now I think people know me enough to know that I'm just a traitor who left the Green Isle.
So everyone's path to comics is different. So why did you want to do it? And when you figured out that, like, what was the way that you broke into the industry?
I always loved I loved comics a lot when I was a kid. I loved cartoons and animation and video games. I'm not a obsessive reader in that I don't go in every Wednesday and get my books. I'm not what you call like a true nerd in that sense. I really enjoyed the challenge of drawing, and the reason I wanted to make it a career was because I wanted to basically make movies, but I'm too lazy and too much of a prick to deal with 150 other people with cameras and storyboards and all that. So I found that comics is a nice way for me to make a movie and write the story without really having to mess with anybody else, So it's not necessarily about drawing the X-Men. For me, it's more about, doing, like, I want to do a Tarantino style comic, or I want to do a comic that's like Batman, but Chris Nolan directed it. Like, that's kind of where my head's at. I still love all that other stuff, and of course Spider-Man's pretty hard to argue with. But yeah, my obsession with it is more it's like a movie on paper. That's sort of what gets me into it more than necessarily the characters themselves,
Cool. And then, so how did you break into the industry? So what was your path into it?
I went to school for it, and I started to go to conventions, and they're great because there's no wall between you and editors and people that can hire you. So you go, you network. If you're able to stay somewhat groomed, clean, and be able to talk and not be shy, then you can hit the bar after a convention and manage to get some contacts. Eventually, I kept a portfolio. Once, I'd say twice a year, I would send out all my new drawings and like my pages to editors and just have them keep updating my file, so that hopefully when another artist dropped out of a book or something was late, they could call me and hire me. So it was touch and go for a while. I think I was probably earning below poverty line for about 8 years, until I had a hit with a writer named Grant Morrison back in 2007 or 8, I think. And once that book became a success, it was just easier and easier for me to get better titles, better characters, higher paycheck, and eventually I wanted to get back into writing as well. So, where it's taken me lately is kind of being able to do all of it alone, except for a colorist and a letterer and some of the other things. But yeah, I really enjoy sort of controlling all the levers myself if I can.
So something like Batman then, so there's obviously a huge challenge in taking over a character like that, but not only when you're drawing it, when you're writing it as well. So how did it feel going through your career, ending up at a point where you're given one of like the main characters, you get to put your own stamp on him in a way that not a lot of people have gotten to do. So like, was it a big responsibility, and like, was it something that you always aspired to do, and what would you find was the biggest challenge when you were actually doing that?
It is a big responsibility. I am honored to do it. It's insane to me that back when I was watching Batman cartoons as a kid, the information I was taking in, I would someday be able to spit it back out again and affect other readers in the same way. I never would have, it just seemed like a lofty goal to me, and I never thought I would get there, but here I am. So I very much respect I'm happy to try to fill the role if I can. I do feel responsibility in that my book sales are a chunk of DC Comics, which is my publisher, and I want the book to do well. I want people in marketing and PR and my editors all to be happy with me. I want to try to keep a clean, good, reliable reputation, always be on time, always be professional, because I definitely feel, I know that my stuff has a great impact on my publisher, and I don't want to mess it up, basically, you know. Yeah, I've always, well, I guess this is the nature of Ireland too, is really low on ego. Anybody that has a big ego in Ireland usually gets shut down pretty quickly in a pub, I would say. So even if I acted like that, I'm pretty sure I would have been shut down. Oh, New England is like that too. We really don't tolerate big egos and the like.
Cool. And then, so you've always had a nice balance, like I often hear, and I feel the same on myself, that it's, if you can, you know, you've obviously have these characters that you have a huge nostalgic tie to, like for Batman, obviously, of course, but then there's the whole world of creator owned, which is totally different as well, where you're coming up with everything, and obviously you own the characters, but you've had a nice balance between the two. So what would be the biggest difference from working on something like Batman to actually working on your creator owned books, and which do you actually get more out of yourself?
I really enjoy them equally, but in different ways. The thing I love about Batman is getting to play with other people's toys and have the amount of freedom that I do to tell stories that I want. It's also nice having a big publisher. Warner Brothers, DC Comics is a giant corporation. So having them back me and do the marketing and kind of take away some of the pressure that I would normally have to do by myself if I was doing my own book. That's why I enjoy working for DC, is they can check all those boxes for me. It's easier in a way, but it's harder in a way, because I know Batman means so much to people that I can't just do whatever I want. I have to make it make sense to a lot of my readers. And doing my own creator-owned stuff, I really enjoy the freedom, not having to check with anybody. I do still hire my own editors and try to stay honest and make sure the scripts are as tight as they can be. Just because it's my own book doesn't mean I want to just throw caution to the wind. I enjoy the marketing stuff. I've sort of had a good knack for marketing and PR, just kind of like you, I know. So I enjoy that stuff to a degree, but I managed to get exhausted by it pretty quickly and want to just get back to work. But there's no responsible way to market a new project like Plot Holes without, you know, setting aside a sufficient amount of time in order to do a YouTube channel or interviews or promotional things, and talk to my my assistant and manage what we're doing with the finances and stuff like that. That's an art form in itself, and I totally appreciate that. But it does get a little exhausting after a while. You know, in your head, you just want to get up, have coffee, draw your Spider-Man every day, and just finish up, turn the light off, and get back to your real life or whatever. But yeah, the job like this definitely consumes you. And even more so when you're doing your own graphic novel, I'd say.
Cool. And then, so to do your creator-owned book, you like obviously delved into, like you're talking, into crowdfunding. So when people approach crowdfunding a book, you've done it successfully before. This one is already successful just at its start as well. So what would be the advice that you would give people that want to crowdfund their own book to get it off the ground?
I would really do the math on it and make sure that you're going to break even. I think setting aside the right amount of time to do research, thinking about, for me anyway, producing the product, shipping the product, paying to create the product. For me, it's printing. Setting aside 20% of your funds for just in case something goes wrong, basically. I hired an assistant to do that who's much better at spreadsheets than I am, so I could just pay him to make a bunch of phone calls and figure out who has the best deal on shipping. You know, during the pandemic, that was a bit tricky, especially getting the product to Europe. It's just going to be expensive, and there's no way around it right now. Mm-hmm. But I think that the mistake people make going into these Kickstarters and Indiegogos is they think that they don't treat it like a part-time job. They think that they can just keep working 5 to 7 days a week on pages and not pay attention to the marketing and the distribution and all the other so-called boring things. The best campaigns have a plan. They have a backup plan and a plan C as well if they need. And a lot of artists are really bad at that stuff, and it's okay. It's just sort of the way the artists are wired, is we're more type B personality, not so much type A. So yeah, for me, it's the boring answer is just planning.
Cool. Yeah. And so lastly, so the book that you are crowdfunding right now is The Plot Holes. So tell us a little bit about it.
Plot Holes is about a comic book artist like you or like me who realizes that his world is not real. He's in a novel, and his novel stinks, and it's about to get canceled. and deleted. So this team approaches him and they offer him a space on this squad called the Plot Holes. And what they do is jump out of his book and they hop from book to book to save other books by fixing the plots, like fixing them manually. And the team is populated with like a tiger barbarian character, a comic strip character, a manga character, and just it's sort of like Guardians of the Galaxy in a way. They're on a spaceship, and you know, I don't know if you remember a show called Quantum Leap back in the 80s.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Wasn't sure if it got over there or not. But
No,
yeah.
it definitely did.
I keep saying Guardians of the Galaxy meet Quantum Leap, and a lot of people are like, I know what one of those things is.
Cool, man. No, that sounds amazing. That's everything, John. Thanks a million for your time. We really appreciate it, and best of luck with the rest of the campaign.
Thank you so much, man.